forgot to hit record on the Google Meet with my little interview with Ryan today. It's almost like I have ADHD or something. And like when he said that we were on a time crunch, I was like, oh my God, okay. So then we just started talking and I never recorded it. However, my audio picked him up very well. It's just that in the YouTube video, you're not going to see his face, unfortunately, which is very annoying. And you're just going to see me like turning towards my computer for part of it, which is fine. I'm just going to have Amanda, my incredible assistant, put his face, his cute little face right here so that you can just imagine that he's in the room talking, okay? Sorry. All right. Welcome back, everyone, to the Wildly Different podcast. And today we have a wildly different episode. I have my husband, Ryan, as a guest today because yesterday we were talking about this situation that he was having at work, and we started talking about, oh, what's that? Echo. Oh, okay. But so we started talking about safety and nervous system regulation. And so that is what this episode is going to be about, is this idea of like how so many of us carry around fake safety. Fake safety is where you are so used to finding safety in the external, like performance, productivity, all the things that I know Ryan wants to chirp in here, but fake safety is when it's like you buy yourself time until, your next hit. And so real safety is being able to feel safe in your body no matter what's going on. And so Ryan, thank you so much. I feel like this is like very professional right now. Ryan he normally works from home, but one day a week he goes into the office in the city. And so that's where he is today. This would be so much easier if he was home, but A, I need to record this episode today in order to get it live next week, and B, it was like very timely, very fresh, and so thank you, Ryan, for blocking off time in your day, and I'm excited to see where this conversation goes.
Thanks so much for having me. Oh man, I listen to so many podcasts, and that's what they always say, but it feels good to say that. No, I was on the train this morning, and then I was thinking a lot about what you said yesterday, or maybe it was this morning, as well as like feeling safe inside. And I understand, right? But thinking more about all of that, I had this almost example of like a watchdog inside of me, where I have this dog, right, that's only trying to protect me. That's its number one job. And it barks and barks if something unfamiliar comes my way. Unfamiliarity could be something physical. Mainly in this example, it's all emotional, right? Like feeling safe if I'm running into a situation. And you said something that was really groundbreaking of you just have to talk to that person. And I never thought of that. I never really talked to it. I consider myself a little eccentric, and I talk to everybody and I talk to myself, but I never talked to that portion of me, and I thought it was really interesting. So I tried it out. Today I was thinking about something that was kind of heightening my nerves, and I said, watchdog, it's okay. Like, you're good. Watchdog, you're safe. Yeah. And I kind of laughed, but it kind of melted all of those heightened nerves, and I thought it was fucking fascinating. And that's when I texted you, and then here we are.
I love that. And I love that you used humor to diffuse what was happening there. And before we go any further, I love that you gave me credit for that, but that's not my thing. I didn't make that up. That actually comes from internal family systems. So IFS is this style, I guess, this modality of psychotherapy by this guy, Richard Schwartz. And so it's called parts work, is what you're describing. Is it's we have our true whole, I call it, your wild, whole, untamed self, right? That's the foundation of ADHD Untamed. My membership is getting to that. It's getting back to that person that is inside of us, that's our soul, our essence. And then, over the course of a human lifetime, we become fragmented. We develop all of these different parts, and all of these parts are for protection. And so I love that you're calling yours the watchdog. And we have a million different parts, right? There's the watchdog, but then there's also a part of you that's like, hey, watchdog, like, what are you doing? Just back off Ryan. And that part of you is also to protect you. And so what gets overwhelming is like when all of these parts are like competing against each other. But I love sharing specificity, and I love sharing like concrete examples. So would you mind, you don't have to go into like too much detail, but could you share the example from your job? And I think that this will really land with people in applying it to their own lives. So like, what was the thing that you were stressing about?
Yeah, so for some context, so what I do for a living is I'm a recruiter, which allows me to talk to candidates and hiring managers. So it's very results driven, meaning I have to hire people. That's my job, right? So results meaning I hire a lot of people and, oh, wow, Ryan's good at his job. Ryan's struggling to hire somebody. Oh, wow, Ryan, what's going on? What's wrong? So I've been doing this for 10 years, and then my brain has almost developed like these patterns to be very performance driven. And I've gotten much better at staying neutral in situations and not identifying my own identity with performance, right? So that's just some context. But this specific example was, we've been working on this position for probably like 4 or 5 months and haven't had anybody, we haven't had any successful hires. And it's a very strategic, technical, senior level role. So it's not going to be filled quickly, right? So we know it's going to take time. But I was putting a lot of pressure on myself because, again, the clock is ticking. Hiring managers are saying, hey, where's the people? Where's the people? And then my brain automatically...
Meaning like, where's the candidates, right?
What?
Like, where's the candidates, right?
Yeah, where are the candidates? Where are the candidates? And my brain automatically always goes to like fear, and I get scared. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get fired. Realistically, I'm not going to. So I shared this, and something was bothering me, right? Like I was feeling it in my body, intense, and I couldn't really put my finger on it until I finally did. And then Anna helped me realize that, we talked it through, but I was safe. So that was the example, and I'll pause there.
Yeah. So what's really interesting here is it's like, this is a perfect example of how this is not a logic problem. This is a nervous system problem. And you said, I've been doing this for 10 years. And so I developed, this tie to performance, right? But in reality, and I know that, like, we've talked about this a bunch before. It's like, it didn't happen 10 years ago. This came much earlier than that, right? It's probably, I know everybody's talking about like childhood trauma, childhood this, childhood that, but the reality is like your worth being tied to your performance didn't happen 10 years ago. It happened much, like, way before that, right? Like it happened like somewhere along the road, right? It's like, yeah. And I mean, like, it doesn't mean that it's like, oh, it was your parents' fault or it was, it's a lot of different things. It's society, right? Like it's our grades-based system, right? Our education system is based on grades. And it's like, what it's like when you're 10 years old and it's like you take a test and it's like, what did you get? What did you get? What did you get? It's like, oh, that kid is smart. That kid is dumb. That kid is, right. Yeah, like it doesn't just come from our parents. It comes from everything. It's like our education system in the US plays a very big role in our worth being tied to our performance. And so I just wanted to insert that there, that like there's a lot of ways in which we develop this performance and productivity based like worth. And our job as adults is to extricate that. And what's also really interesting here is you said something to me yesterday that was like, so right now, and I know that you're like super aware of this and you're working on it, but it takes time. And your body, when you have a role that isn't filled right away, right? Because you're known at your company for like filling roles immediately, right? And it's like you're like you fill roles like crazy fast, but there are some roles that are really difficult to fill. And so the longer and longer that a role goes unfilled, the more and more anxious you get because it's like pressure. And what that is, like put very simply, is it's like you feel unsafe in your body because it's like, I don't know when I'm going to fill this role. And that feels unsafe because my performance is tied to my worth. And then it's like, my job is tied to my worth. What if I lose my job? And it's like, that's where rumination comes in, future casting, worst case scenario, black and white thinking. And you said something really interesting yesterday that was like, I know, because this has happened lots of times before. And it's like, after I fill the role, then I say to myself, oh, why was I so worried about that? Why was I so worried about that? That was so silly of me. I knew I was going to fill it. That is actually a really perfect sign that it's not a logic thing. It's a nervous system thing. And that is what I called yesterday fake safety, because it's like you're getting like a hit from a drug. You filled the role, and so your body is now like, okay, phew, I'm safe now. But in reality, it's temporary. It's conditional. It was conditional on you filling the role. And so what happens when you get another role that is difficult to fill is then your body starts to feel unsafe again. So we didn't actually solve the root of the problem. We just kind of like temporarily like patched it over. And so that is what's really interesting, is like to pay attention to. This also really reminds me of like, if you're a content creator, it's like if you post something online and it does great, you feel great, right?
Yeah.
But what about if you post something and it flops? Do you still feel safe in your body, right? And then it's like, oh, I need to change up my strategy. Oh, I need to change up my hooks and my blah, blah, blah. It's like you jump into firefighting mode. You jump into urgency mode. And so many entrepreneurs give up because it's like too much. It's too much urgency and firefighting to handle. And so they throw in the towel. When if we can focus on feeling safe in our bodies, even when our posts flop, it's like everybody would crush it as a content creator, as an entrepreneur. Like that's what we need to focus on. So thoughts. I just said a lot.
Another thing too, like you were talking about education. Yeah, it ties into, I think, overall everything, because as you are a child, you have friends, and then your friends, if you're playing sports, oh wow, he's good at sports, she's good at sports. And then you kind of identify a lot with that piece. But I wanted to touch that because that was a huge kind of identity with me, because I grew up, that was the only thing I did was play sports. I didn't really care about school. So it was always like externally driven, right? Like external factors needed to kind of validate my internal, where it's the complete opposite nowadays. It's my internal factors of how I feel and believe, which will dictate the next steps. But to follow up on this example, today, actually, I had a meeting with my manager who, is aware of these roles being open forever. And then she said, yeah, I actually caught up with that hiring manager, and they were, they shared their side of the story. What's the deal here? And I found myself getting very hot, right? Like a little chalk. And I just sat there, and I just sat and I like processed it. And then that's when I guess as I get older, I'm getting more empathetic, but I was like, that manager is just very busy and has so much going on nowadays. I'm going to spend time with them on Friday and talk through a lot of these things. Mm-hmm. It's one of their side, your side, and then the truth. But that doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is, in situations, regardless of where you're at in your life, shit will bubble up. You will get uncomfortable. Things will get tense.
Yeah.
But I am safe. There's a part of my brain that wants me to be safe. And exercising that muscle is the only thing that I'm trying to get better at. And I am. Right. I truly am. Like I had blood boiling at 11 o'clock and then maybe 11:10. I was like, all right, cool. I'm cool.
Yeah.
It's truly just an exercise. But it is something that I need to get better at and constantly practice it. And it's nothing where there's an end result, right? You're just constantly aware of it and you improve upon it.
Well, and I'm glad that you brought that up too, because you bring up a really nuanced point when you say like there's no end result, because so often, everybody listening to this podcast is like incredibly self-aware, like to a fault, right? And usually that self-awareness actually hurts us, because we hear something like this and we're like, okay, I'm going to cultivate real safety instead of fake safety. It's like you're very quick to pick up on like why you do what you do. But then we drop into urgency, which is another way of dysregulating our nervous system, because it's like, all right, like hurry up and feel okay about this. But it's like, it's not on your timeline. And in fact, the more that you rush, the more that you lump on urgency, the more dysregulated you become. And so what's really, really important and honestly, like I'm gonna throw in the Untamed Freedom Formula here, because I combined what I pulled from, 10 years of teaching experience, all of my coaching experience, psychotherapy, spirituality, coaching, all of the things. And what I really like is like easy, simple formulas to remember, because when you're dysregulated, you're not going to remember like 100-step thing. But what you will remember is this. The first part of the formula is curiosity, right? The formula is relearn, reflect, release, respond. So relearn is about curiosity. And so what you just did there is, it's like, oh, there's this emotion here, right? It's like, you're not doing anything with it. You're not trying to make it go away. You're not solving for it. You're not fixing it. It's just, you're playing with it. Oh, okay, there's this emotion here. I'm feeling hot, right? I love that you use that word, like, can you describe what it feels like in your body? It's like you're playing with it, right? Okay. And then the next phase is reflect, right? It's, what is my relationship to this emotion right now? Am I accepting it, right? Can I accept this emotion, or am I pushing it away, right? Like the second phase of the formula is accepting it. Accepting that, yes, I wish that I didn't feel hot right now. I wish that I, felt regulated, but I don't, right? It's about accepting what is. It's about accepting what is. So just like what you shared, it's like recognizing it, allowing it to exist in your body, right? And when you do that, this is where we have to bring in nervous system regulation tools. And they're honestly like so overcomplicated. Like there are so many Instagram accounts out there about how to regulate your nervous system. Really, guys, it's like, when in doubt, just go back to the basics. It's how we evolved as humans. Breathing. Yeah, just a couple of deep breaths, and not deep breaths like go away, right? It's like, okay, allowing it to exist in your body. Humming is another great way to regulate your nervous system, like low tone humming, swaying back and forth. Yeah, like it's like these simple, it's things that kids do. It's things that kids do naturally. And crying is one of the best ways to regulate your nervous system. If you can get yourself to cry, obviously you don't like when it's happening as it's happening, but don't you always feel so much better?
Oh, I love to cry.
It's a release.
And I do have to drop, but
I
let out a very big release. And then aside from all of this work-specific stuff, I had a family member who passed, and I found out, and I was processing a lot of that yesterday. And this morning I listened to music, and I just let everything out, and it felt so incredibly good. Just because my body needed that.
Yeah.
It didn't know where to go. And I exercised a lot, and I didn't exercise today. So there's nothing wrong with anybody. That's the one thing that I've realized. There's nothing wrong with me. It's truly just understanding how to balance your emotions, because they're a part of us. They're human, and they're very powerful.
Yeah.
And sometimes they could sway on both ends, right? Like when you're super excited, but also if you're super upset. Just being neutral and learning about this stuff, but everybody's gold. And so are you, Bun. And a lot of this credit is to you, because you're just amazing. And I really appreciate all your learning. But I gotta go.
Thanks, Bun. Thanks so much for being here.
Love you. I'll see you later.
Okay, see you. Bye. But just to pick up, where we left off. How cute is he, by the way? He's the best. Oh, you know what? Let me actually, I have to, okay, but so just to pick up where he left off, what was I going to say? Okay, so I wanted to continue that conversation, even though Ryan's not here anymore. No, I don't want to say that. So what Ryan started to say at the end there was actually the third phase, when he said, there's nothing wrong with me. That is self-compassion. The third phase of the formula is, and this is found in so many different tools and modalities and different ways of explaining this, is I have just consolidated it in a way that works for my brain and works for my members, and I hope that it lands with you too. But so the third phase of the formula is compassion for self and compassion for others. But when he said there's nothing wrong with me, right? It's like reminding yourself of that, having compassion for yourself. That's like, yes, I am feeling anxiety when I am not filling this role, and that's okay. Like, it's okay. So the most compassionate thing that we can do is to validate for ourselves. It's okay. It's okay that I feel this way, right? And then the final part of the formula is to respond. And what's interesting is people tend to start with respond. They want to fix it. They want to jump into like, what can I do to solve this? When in reality, that needs to be the last step of the formula. And that always follows naturally, because it's like when you've gone through the process of like getting curious about your situation, about your emotions, about whatever it is, and then you have accepted it. When you have accepted it, well, now you're in a much better place to regulate, right? You're in a much better place to regulate your nervous system. And then you have brought in some compassion, right? And so now you're feeling warm and fuzzy. Then what follows naturally is like doing the thing, right? Setting up a meeting with the hiring manager, sending the email, posting again after your last post flopped. It's much easier to do that when you've gone through a process of curiosity, acceptance, and self-compassion. And I actually came up with this analogy that I wanted to share to kind of like explain to you why it's so important to go through those steps before trying to take action. So let's say you have a cup, right? Your cup is your nervous system. It's your body, right? It's your capacity. And your cup fills with things, right? It's filling with to-dos, arguments, whatever is going on in your pressure, anxiety, blah, blah, blah. And so then your cup is like at the brink, like it's completely full. When you add even another drop, what happens is it overflows, right? It spills. And so that's why when your nervous system is dysregulated, when you're at your capacity and something, quote unquote, small happens, like your child throws a tantrum, or like your wife, says something like, why didn't you take out the trash, right? It's like that little thing will set you off because it's not really about that little thing. It's like your cup was already so full. And then what happens is like you explode and then you have a release, but then like the shame and the guilt kicks in, and so then your cup fills up again. And so what's the solution? The solution is to empty your cup a little bit. It's to empty your cup. And so the way that we do that is, all right, we don't always have the opportunity to like, just sleep on it. Like sometimes it's like 2:00 in the afternoon, right? Like, yes, sleep, diet, exercise plays a huge role. As much as I hate to say it and hate to remind you of it, diet, sleep, and exercise play a huge role in nervous system regulation, especially for ADHD brains. But in the middle of the day, what can you do? You can practice some of those things that I mentioned earlier, right? Humming, deep breaths, a guided meditation if that feels good to you. Just like tuning into your body. It could take 30 seconds, right? And so what we're doing is we're creating some space. Maybe what we need to do is like postpone a meeting. Maybe that is the most compassionate thing that we can do. We postpone a meeting. We call in sick, or we, let the kids watch, an extra show or something. It's like, or we go for a walk, right? We do something to empty our cup a little bit, right? Okay, this was really fun. I hope to have Ryan on for more episodes because I just adore him, obviously. And I think it's fun too to have like conversations and to really see where it goes. So I hope to bring in more guests into Untamed. If you yourself would like to be a guest on this podcast, I said Untamed, I meant the wildly different podcast. Untamed is my membership. But if you would like to be a guest, shoot me a DM, send me an email. I'd love to chat with you. If there is something that you would like to chat about related to ADHD, or if you're in the program and you want to share, how it's helped, what it's done for you, what maybe lessons or takeaways you've had, I would love to chat. All right, that's all for this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week.